Hi, and welcome to MLB Fantasy Waiver Wire Pickup. I'm Ross the Boss, coming live from La, California. I'm here with, yes, we have a surprise guest, Dr. Dan Ratner from Cleveland, Ohio. We got him aboard. Say hello to the folks.
Great to see you all. I'm excited to talk waiver wire with you.
And we got Casey, flat to the bone, Shinefold. Yep, he's here today. He has all those great waiver wire pickups. He's been running the money all season. And Casey, say hi to the folks.
Well, it's a Tuesday, which means we're going to talk about some players who've been hot this weekend. I'm excited. Baseball's fun to talk about.
And talking about waiver wire pickups, Casey, first I got to gloat a little bit.
Yeah, you're Reds.
The Angels swept the Dodgers over the weekend, which is like it's like an unbelievable thing for me. I love it when the Dodgers lose, but to get swept by the Angels in Dodgers
and your Reds swept the Guardians.
Well, I don't want to bring that up because we have a big Guardian fan in the middle of us right now. I really don't want to be upset. But I'm excited about that too. And the Reds are playing okay balls with Tito as our manager. Let's talk waiver wire. Let's get into it. I mean, you talked about the Reds. You talked about our cover guy. This guy's on fire.
Yeah, he's the hottest player. He's the hottest player, Will Benson. He's the hottest player in baseball right now. I mean, obviously,
tell me some of his stat, Kate. Let me just enjoy the moment.
Last week, 23 at bats, a 478 average with 5 home runs, 10 RBIs, and even chipped in a steal. And now he's not playing tonight, so if you picked him up, make sure you put somebody else in your lineup. But it's hard to get much out of that. And he went through streaks last season where he was a really good fantasy contributor. And so this isn't somebody who's never done it before. I don't know how long he'll sustain it, but you ride that hot streak. That's for sure.
What do you mean he's not going to hit 100 home runs and bat 400 in the season, Casey? Come on, wake up. Of course.
Look, I've been saying Aaron Judge isn't going to hit 400, but he's proved me wrong still at this point. So I don't know. Maybe it's the year of the 400.
I hope you're right, but I don't think you are. But people can dream, and hitting 400 would be an unbelievable feat. Rod Carew tried it. Tony Gwynn tried it. Many players have tried it.
Actually, they all tried it. Those were the ones who got close.
Yeah, those are the ones that I'm saying, like we were saying in August. Rod Carew, George Brett. Yep. Pete Rose had some pretty good years, but
Jose Reyes chased it one year, right?
The last one was Ted Williams, right?
The only
one was the last one.
I think nobody did it.
Did somebody else do it also? I don't know. I've only heard about Ted Williams.
I wasn't even born. You guys were.
There are people. Rogers,
Hornsby. There were a couple. To the party. We talk waiver wire here on Tuesdays. What are some of the players you're trying to pick up this week, Dr. Dan Ratner?
Well, I'll highlight one that I don't know if they're on your radar at all, but because he's been on the IL for 60 days. But Colton Cowser just started a rehab assignment. This is the kind of guy that I would want to stash, especially in that IL spot right now. He's somebody that I'd be looking long and hard at. You know, we've mentioned a couple players before, so some of these are going to be repeats, but sometimes you guys need reminders because you're not picking them up. One is Jonathan Aranda. He's second base eligible. First base turns out to be a lot deeper than we expected, but Aranda's still hitting well, especially if you're just looking for a guy who's going to hit for average and produce some decent numbers. Those are two guys on my mind just offhand, but I'll turn it back to you guys to see where you go from there.
I like what you're thinking. Casey, somebody that I'm looking at stats. I mean, you know, we all said that Drake did it, and that's a Seinfeld reference I'm doing, Casey, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm not that young.
Drake Baldwin of Atlanta, the catcher. I know they have Sean Murphy, but Drake Baldwin, 357, 5 home runs, 15 RBIs for the season. Not bad.
Yeah, and he's hot right now.
And I mean, these catchers just get so, like Herrera for the Cardinals gets hot.
And catchers, you don't expect them to play every day. So if he's only playing 60%, that's still worth a roster spot. You just have to carry.
When guys get on a hot streak, they tend to stay on it for a little while. I really love looking at like the last 14 days. Lourdes Gurriel is a great example. Over the last 14 days, he's been completely tearing it up. He's available all over the place because his numbers overall don't look that good, and his numbers aren't even going to be that good. But are they good right now? Yes. And if you're playing, let's say you have I've got Kyle Tucker. He's been in a huge slump. Do you ever sit him for Lourdes Gurriel for a couple days during one of those slumps? Probably not Kyle Tucker. But even a guy like Brent Rooker, I would sit for a guy like Lourdes Gurriel for a couple days.
Yeah, the beauty of baseball is it's a 162 game season. So if you miss one or two good days by a player, it doesn't crush you the way if you sit a running back who's been in a slump, but they only have 15 or 16 games to contribute anyway. You don't want to miss that much of their production. But I agree with you. I don't think anybody, well, I shouldn't say anybody. I think there's very few players who are unsittable if they're in a 0 for 16, 2 for 21 type of slump with a bunch of strikeouts.
Yeah,
you know who's in a really good groove also is Rhys Hoskins. He's another good guy to add. Just at the
Yeah,
moment.
and his power comes in bunches. So if you get him at the right time, he kind of has that Kyle Schwarber value where he can pop out 8 to 10 in a few weeks, and it really helps you. On the pitching side, the guy I want to name is the former #1 overall pick out of Vanderbilt, and that's Jack Leiter in Texas. He started off the season great. He was dominant. Then he had a blister issue, and he sat out for a few weeks, and he's come back, and he's been almost just as good. You can tell he's working back into form. In the last 2 weeks, in his last 2 starts, 13 innings. So he's averaging over 6 innings a start, 2.77 ERA, 0.77 WHIP. And he's just he was the #1 pick for a reason, and he's not very well owned. And when you look at some of these starters and some of these rotations where people are struggling, there's no reason not to take a chance on him.
I want to ask you guys. Yeah, go ahead, Russ. No, you.
Somebody that's on my bench I picked up on waivers in the last couple of weeks is Jordan Beck. Not Beck the singer, but Beck
Colorado outfielder.
I was just going to bring him up, and you cut him in the other league.
I can read your mind. I read your mind, Dr. Dan Ratner. That's what I do for a living. But Jordan Beck, Casey, it's getting warmer in Colorado, and you know what happens when the ball.
And he's a power speed guy.
Yeah.
And it's not like Colorado's winning, so they don't. If he goes on a little bit of a slump, they're not going to shorten his leash and put somebody else in there.
It's like a JV
figure it out.
Like no one cares if they win or lose.
Yeah, I thought
for contracts.
I really liked Zach Veen in preseason with him, spring training, but they didn't give him a chance. They called him up at one point. He struggled. They sent him back down. I think he's still in AAA. And so, Jordan Beck's a smart play. So, there's
Dr.
the waiver wire
on your radar. I'm going to pick on you, Dr. Dan. Who else is on your radar this week? Don't lie.
Well, Jordan Beck. The funny thing is, Jordan Beck was actually going to be my next comment, but you cut him and I picked him up and I bid $19 for him and no one else bid, which I can't understand. He's a Colorado Rocky outfielder. He's playing well. I'd be picking him up all over the place. His rostership should be well over 60%. And I actually think I predict in a month it will be. People are really going to catch on. But I'll mention some pitchers as well.
Go ahead.
I mentioned this last time we talked on Thursday, but I'm going to say it again. Ronel Blanco, not only is he pitching well, but he's been pitching well for a while. He pitched great all last season. You don't want to pass him up. Here's another guy that I would have on my radar lately is Ranger Suarez. He was great for a certain period of time last year, and he just seems to be in a groove again. So I think you want to pick him up.
Yeah. And the only reliever on the wires who's really worth looking at right now is Cole Sands in Minnesota. He has 2 saves in the last week, a 0 ERA, and he's only 3% owned. He's the option for Minnesota when Duran is unavailable. And so, there's no like stud closer out there that you can pick up, but if you can get the guy who's next up and who's going to get 1 or 2 chances, especially when their closer's been used 1 or 2 nights in a row, and if you're in a holds league, it also means he's probably the 8th inning guy. He's worth picking up.
Guys, talking about Minnesota, I mean, they won 13 games in a row?
Yeah. And then they just won again the other night, didn't they?
That team's on fire. Trevor Larnach has a 13-game hitting streak going on. I mean, that's when you pick up these players that are on hot teams like Minnesota. I mean, it's worth the run. It really is. It's really worth waiving some of your players who aren't producing and picking up these guys. It's all about timing, I think. While
we're talking about that, we talk about waiver wire pickups, but I texted you guys earlier to ask you, can I cut Ozzie Albies at this point? Like, we're at a certain point in the season where he's just not producing, especially in redraft league.
And it's not just this year. He's struggled the last few years.
He's a horrible fantasy player.
He's had 1 year. He had 1 good year.
Yeah, he rings a little bit of Cedric Mullins to me.
Cedric Mullins is actually having a pretty good year.
Decent year this year.
Grand Slam on Sunday, Casey. I mean,
Well,
let me just say
a
this:
broken clock is right twice a day.
But this is part of the importance of waiver wire is you see all these players out here, you got to know who to cut. And I think Ozzie Albies at this point is one of those.
Kind of.
And before we get out of here, because I know we're just about out of time, I can't leave a show without mentioning one prospect.
Yes. Oh, let's do it.
The Brewers rotation is so bad right now.
How bad are they?
It's awful. It's just awful. Brandon Woodruff, we were hoping he was coming back. Turns out ankle tendonitis is going to keep him out longer. Jose Quintana is bad with a shoulder issue. Everybody. Meanwhile, they called up Logan Henderson, who's been okay, but there's this kid in the minors, Jacob Misiorowski. Yes, Misiorowski, who threw the hardest pitch thrown this year by a major leaguer or a AAA starter at 102.3 miles an hour. And by the way, he's got a 1.49 ERA, a 0.92 WHIP, and 54 strikeouts.
What are they waiting for?
In 42 innings.
They're waiting for him to throw his arm in AAA.
I guess they want him to get Tommy John first. I don't know. But he's somebody I would absolutely put at the tail end of my bench there for when he gets the call.
Is he a closer or a starter, Casey?
He's a starter. 42 and a third innings, 54 strikeouts, only 17 walks. So he doesn't even have the same command issues you see with a lot of young pitchers. And he throws like just straight fire. And the rotation needs any life it can get. So that would be on my prospect take for the day. Dalton Rushing was called up. Jordan Lawler was called up. And so that's the guy I'm looking at.
And he called up the second baseman for the Dodgers, that Korean kid.
Ha-Seong Kim, yep.
Ha-Seong Kim, and he's hitting like 400. I mean, he's doing great. Another guy that I told Dr. Dan Rander to pick up when he waived Ozzie Albies, but he doesn't listen.
Yep. Not only that, I didn't even cut Albies yet, but I'm getting ready.
What do you? In all seriousness, and we'll go. Why aren't you cutting? What's this fascination of keeping him?
It's not a fascination. It comes from fear.
It's a fear of missing out. Like you don't want
to cut him, and then he turns around and he becomes, the superstar that he was.
You don't want to be the guy who dropped Mike Trout after his rookie year.
But at a certain point, they annoy you enough, and they're taking up space on your bench, and they're ruining your chances to get everybody else, that you're happy to move on from them, no matter what happens.
I mean, listen. In all seriousness, if you have room for him, absolutely keep him on your roster. Okay, if you have room.
Yeah.
But
well,
I feel you're getting a little crowded on your team.
Oh, I am.
And I just noticed that you need to find an alternative. And the other problem is, the second baseman for the Reds.
McLean, yeah. My second baseman have been.
I mean, McLean's sitting under his weight. I mean, he's another huge disappointment this year. I mean, I don't know what you should do.
He's getting close to hitting under my daughter's weight. That's real.
And your daughter's what, 14?
She's well, I have two daughters, but I'm talking about the 11-year-old.
Oh, the 11-year-old. And we got sad news too. George Wendt, Norm from Cheers, died today, 76 years old.
Oh, that one's sad. Ted Lasso's uncle.
Yeah.
Whose uncle?
Ted Lasso.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I knew him from the old days when I used to work at improv. He had an improv group called Off the Wall that he was part of, him and his wife. And really nice guy, but he had the greatest job ever in acting. He got paid to drink beer every taping at his show.
Sit at the corner of a bar and drink beer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no acting skills for me to do that. But yeah, rest in peace. 76 years old. Some great movies back in the day, Casey. Fletch.
Yeah.
He was in some great movies, great parts over the years. Rest in peace, George Wendt.
Yes. Well said. All right. Thank you, guys. It was a great time together. We'll be back. When are you guys coming back? Thursday. Waiver Wire. That's going to be 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then we're going to have a special sports discussion. I'm going to pick a topic. We're just going to debate it. That'll be at our normal time of Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Looking forward to seeing you all. And let's keep up the good work, guys.
We'll talk. We got NBA, we got NFL, and we got NHL we can discuss because they're all in playoffs right now. So
right in my wheelhouse.
Love it.
I'll help you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
We'll see you guys on Thursday at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern.
That sounds good. Signing off, guys.